you hear the joke about what the young guy said to the younger guy? Need a job? I'm not sure why Dr. Geis hired me. My name's not Dooley, Dykes, or Summitt, or White, but I'm excited about it. So, in all honesty, we are so excited today about this opportunity. There's so many people to thank, and I do want to start by thanking two very special people. I know that this day is not about in any shape or form them, but if you would not recognize these two people, you would be remiss to capture one of the greatest moments. I would like to recognize Coach Leon Barmore and Pat Summitt for being here, two of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game of women's basketball. I can only hope that I would do for my profession what they have done for theirs. On April 15th, we set out on a national search to find the next coach for Louisiana Tech in women's basketball. And we moved very quickly, but at the same time, we were very thorough. And through this process, there's some people that I also feel like I need to thank. Number one, I want to thank my wife, because as she knows, when you go through this time, it's very difficult. You get ingrained and embedded into the moment because Louisiana Tech deserves that attention. And so I do want to thank her for allowing me to be very selfish. I want to thank Mary Kay Hungate, who has been right by my side the entire time on this process with sound advice and great reasoning, and just gives me great pleasure to know that she's on my team. Dr. Les Geis, who is just, I think, the greatest president in the entire country. He sports athletics, and he is just relentless in his pursuit of this university academically and everything that you can think of, and it's a pleasure to serve as your athletics director. Dr. Liberatos, our faculty athletic rep, as well as the entire athletics council, the athletic department senior staff, and all whom that was made up of, just provided great support, some earlier, some later, even in today, but we do appreciate it. Our fans. I understand how important this is for you, and I want you to understand that for me, this was something that I have a great passion about in terms of being able to restore one of the greatest programs in the history of women's basketball. And so that is something that I hold dear. But most importantly, I want to thank our student athletes, who at the end of the day, this is all about them. I would not be here if it wasn't for our student athletes. Tyler wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for our student athletes. These two great coaches would never have done the things they've done in their life if it wasn't for great student athletes. So young ladies, I thank you very much for being patient and understanding through this process. Thank you very much. Throughout this process, it became clear to me a couple of things. One, that the Lady Techster program still garners the same respect nationally as we believe it does locally, more importantly, as we believe that it can be. And so as I went through this process to identify where we would go as our coach, I would talk to Dr. Geis and I would say, Dr. Geis, it's so exciting. The amount of interest and the amount of people that care, the phone conversations that I had with people all across this country that not only thought it was still a great job, but that it could be what we anticipate it could be. And so that was refreshing to me. With any search, you must develop a set of criteria, and in doing so, identify an ideal candidate. I think that as in any position in what we do, whether we're hiring support staff or coaches, you have to have an idea of what it is. Not necessarily a name or who you know you're going to hire, although you always have names that come up, but you have to have an ideal candidate in your mind. And then as you go through your search, you're trying to match what you're finding to that ideal candidate. And one of the things that I will tell you is that early on in this process, Tyler Summitt's name began to come to me, and we dropped, and people would mention his name. And again, I understand. I started with a joke. You understand that there is a 23-year-old coach who has a great last name, but is that where we want to go? And what I was encouraged by everyone that I talked to is visit with him. just get him on the phone. Just please have an opportunity to visit with him, and I think that you'll have a change, not a change in heart, but it will certainly help in your decision making. And so as we interviewed others, we also included him in the interview. And what I will tell you is that as I begin to visit with him more and more, as I begin to research him more and more, his philosophies and the things that he wants to do in life, that ideal candidate began to have a face and begin to have a name. And that name was Tyler Summitt. And it was never more confirmed to me than the moment that I visited with him for about 5 hours the first time that we met in a private room and just interviewed him and really grilled him and put him through some serious questioning. And it was confirmation that we had a coach. And so, again, it was just confirmation for me on my end. I spoke with over 30 people regarding Tyler Summitt. And I mean, I'm specifically people that know him or that have experienced him from coaching and or administration and or personally, people that he still probably doesn't even know that I talked to. And what was repeated back to me over and over and over again was that, number one, he was mature beyond his years. Number two, he was a relentless recruiter that had a passion for seeking out talent and identifying it. And that he was one of the best coaching minds, young coaching minds in the country. People were saying that, and I would go after coach, and you sure? I'm telling you, he's one of the great coaching minds. And then the other one that I think strikes me the most is that he is a passionate leader, and he has leadership qualities that really, quite frankly, I envy. And so, I tell you that not to oversell, but I want you to understand the opportunity that we have here to get a young coach who is extremely excited about being the next head coach at Louisiana Tech and possesses these characteristics. At my press conference, I stood at this podium in July, and I told you that we would be focused on developing champions in the classroom, on the field, court, and in life. Tyler Summitt represents that philosophy of developing champions. He grew up in that kind of culture, and it is the only thing that he knows. It is my privilege to introduce the next head women's basketball coach at Louisiana Tech, Tyler Summitt.